Hey everyone, welcome to Pass or Play. Today we have Mayfair Witches Season 1, Episode 4, titled Curacier and Curacer. Is that even a word? Trying to pronounce that, I feel anyway, I'm pretty sure it is, but so it's currently streaming on AMC Plus right now, and it will be airing on AMC, the cable channel, tonight. Alright, so we open back up in Donalith, Scotland, assuming it's still the same year, 1681. We have Suzanne, she's crying as the priest gives Eowulf's body her last rites. They're going to take her body to be buried, and then the priest tells Suzanne, quiet, she's in heaven now. Now, little does this priest know, in about another 311 years, Eric Clapton will be telling everyone about Tears in Heaven. So, either way, then Suzanne, after this kind of ceremony for Eowulf with the priest and whatnot, Suzanne follows this woman who's leading her through the darkness of the woods, saying, it's a secret where we're going. I'm like, okay. So even in 2023, it's never a good idea just to be following people in the darkness. It's never a good idea to be running in the woods, even if you live on these like forest preserve houses and things like that. And it's not smart in 1681. But either way, turns out it's a funeral rager cry fest, dance, party, let your emotions out ritual ceremony for Eowulf. And Suzanne just starts letting her tears flow. I will say that there were no black people there. Um, okay, all right. So then we go back to, now we're back in 2023 or 2022, and Rowan is having sex dreams about Cyprian with the key necklace on his neck, and then he turns into Lasher as they change, positions, and she kind of wakes up out of that. She goes out into like the main like living room, dining room, whatever, kitchen of the safe house. And Cyprian, he can cook. He's making some poached eggs for breakfast. It's like he got some bechamel sauce that he's pouring over that. And Rowan's like, I shared a lot of myself and memories with you, but I still don't know anything about you. And he's like, I like other people's memories. They're cleaner, assumingly better than his own, than him trying to share his memories with her. I guess it's easier for him to do it with other people's memories. He has different knickknacks around his place that holds memories that I guess he finds to be peaceful, again, better than his own. And then we end up going back to the Mayfair house in the basement with Delphine's body dead on the floor. Her face is split down the middle in a puddle of blood. And Carlotta puts on some yellow latex gloves to find the key necklace, but it's gone. Lasher took it and moved it somewhere else, assumably in the house. But let me just say, if you got the right to send Delphine down there to her death, basically, then you should touch her beaten body with your bare hands. Don't be like, oh, you're too good to touch her body. You weren't too good to send her down in the basement to die, so you're not too good to touch her body. Don't put on no yellow latex gloves. Just use your bare hands, because that's what you did when you closed the door on her. You didn't have gloves on your hands then. I just let me, it just makes me mad. Delphine really didn't deserve that. I just thought that was really messed up, and all the decisions that Carlotta keeps making to try to stop Lasher, it just ain't working. And then just all this collateral damage of people, you know. And so, this episode really talks about that. But just she has to own to that, and she keeps talking about God and the Lord, but I'm like, these are not the decisions that they're making. These are the decisions that you're making. But she keeps hiding behind her faith. And I guess in the end, it did keep her from, I guess, maybe falling under Lasher's, appeal. But she still has made very questionable decisions, irregardless of the fact that Lasher isn't necessarily the one who's controlling her, but in counteraction of what he's been doing, she still is kind of being pulled or kind of, circling the drain of his stuff either way, because she keeps trying to counteract what he's doing. So either way, she still kind of is. She is kind of actually, drawn to Lasher in a way and trying to stop him. She's still kind of under his spell to a sense. So I think that's interesting too. So then we end up going to the funeral of Deidra, and we see Uncle Cortland. He looks for the key necklace around Deidre's neck, and he doesn't see it. He puts like one of his suit. I can't even think what this thing called. Like those little, those little suit handkerchiefs, and he puts it like to cover her neck from the stitching that they did. And he ends up cutting some of Deidre's hair for himself. I don't know. Do the Mayfair men, practice magic too, or is he going to use her hair for some kind of spell or something? Who knows? I'm assuming we're going to find that out later. And doing the funeral, Lasher ends up bringing in hundreds of thousands of red rose petals into the funeral, and which is actually really cool scene to see. To show his affection or love for Deidre. Carlotta is trying to pick up the roses because she's angry. I'm like, the lady's dead now. He can't do anything else. If he wants to throw in a bunch, let the red rain, rose petals fall down like rain. It was actually really cool. But, Carlotta's just mad. Nothing she's done has worked. And then we end up going to the burial of Deidra as she gets put into the Mayfair family crypt. Cyprian ends up leaving because he gets a call that the man who got on the elevator with Deidra has been found. Rowan decides to go to the Mayfair house, and Carletta basically gives her photos of Ellie when Ellie was younger. Says she offers her condolences for losing, her two mothers. Carlotta also lets Rowan know that Lasher offered himself to her at age 8, but she rejected him. She does also let Rowan know that it was her who told everyone that, she died as a baby. She died as a baby, and that basically that was all her decision because, at this point, at the reception at the Mayfair house, she's gonna meet the other family members, so she's gonna start, getting, bits of information from different people. And Carlotta also lets Rowan know, that the devil comes in many forms, and and that other members in the family will have her think that Lasher is a gift, but he is not. And what she needs now is knowledge on to basically know who she's dealing with, which I do agree. I think at this point, Rowan needs to know. She needs to know the history. You're talking about 300 years of all these different women making a decision. A lot of them all have the key necklace around their neck, and she needs to know what she's dealing with. Carlotta and her uncle Cortland, they're giving bits of information based on the narrative of what they want her to know instead of just telling her the truth. Like, who is Lasher? What's the connection? All these, they know more than she does right now. They just need to tell her the truth instead of like baiting and switching to try to counteract what the other one is saying or has said or what they think the other one will say or won't say and all this stuff. But either way, we go back to Cyprian and we find out that the man that was on the elevator was a hired professional, but his body is now being taken over by Lasher, who ends up breaking his neck. So they have him captive in this room, and Lasher is like, I don't know, doing stuff to the inside. It's basically torturing him from the inside of his own body, and then he ends up breaking the neck of the guy. Cyprian lets his boss know that there's supernatural work at play in Deidre's murder that hasn't been accounted for. And basically, Cyprian is just told to protect Rowan. That's his job. And yeah, we'll come back to that later. And then now we're back at the Mayfair house. Rowan is meeting the different women in the family. There was a scene that the the daughter Tessa of one of the other Mayfair women had put some kind of letter in front of Deidre's crypt with flowers on it. And I'm like, was the letter? I wonder was the letter for? I'm assuming the letter was for Deidre, but that the camera made note of that. There also was a man who was taking photos of the different people at the funeral as well. I'm assuming we'll come back around to that too. But Tessa, maybe some of these other Mayfair women will become more important later, kind of getting more back history on who they are that are actually still alive, but also including the ones that are, dead. But so she's meeting all these the different women in the family, and she finds out that she is the designee of the family slash matriarch through through the will. Deidre was a designee and owns the house, though she probably never knew that, and it now falls to Rowan, who is now the new designee, and now she owns the house. Now, you also do see that Aunt Carlotta does try to come off like the victim, saying that Deidre was sick, but Deidre was kind of induced to be that way from all the drugs that they kept making sure, that shot that she was getting from the doctors. If Rowing looked at the medical record, she would have saw that, that they basically just drugged her up to keep her in that kind of coma-like state to control her, and she was basically trapped in her own body, in her own mind, really. And Carletta wasn't doing her any favors. She was just doing it so she could control her. And Uncle Cortland does try to speak up Lasher, you should get to know him yourself, blah, blah, blah. But he ends up leaving the reception because him and Carletta start to kind of argue as they're both, one's trying to pull her away from Lasher, the other one's trying to push her towards him. And so Cortland and all the people that came with him, his daughter, they end up leaving. Now, at this point, most of them are gone. It's Carletta, it's her sister, the kitchen staff and whatnot, and Rowan. She ends up getting led up to Deidre's room where the key necklace is on the dresser. She instantly puts on the necklace. She drops the rosary beads necklace that Carletta gave to her, that she said was her mom's, that her mom's Deidre, and she lets that just drop to the floor. Carletta ends up seeing this, saying, come, dinner will be ready soon. You can come down. And then Carletta decides to set up the dinner basically to be the last supper for her and Rowan, having the doors locked by the kitchen, by the chef, and starting a fire to kill her and Rowan in the dining room, setting the room on fire, having the doors locked, between the fire and then just the smoke. She plans for them to die that way. Now, at this point, Cyprian ends up showing up to the house. He breaks down the door, and as he's trying to break down the door, Carletta grabs a knife and is getting ready to try to stab Rowan, but instead, as soon as she kind of goes towards Rowan, Cyprian breaks down the door and she ends up stabbing him in the gut, and he kind of falls back. Rowan's like, don't pull out the knife, keep it in there, because if she hit an artery, it's gonna start going everywhere. So she's trying to hold Cyprian up, and she and CP, they try to go for the front door. Lasher ends up locking the doors shut. They can't get out, and then he goes into the room where the fire is burning, and he basically lets Carletta know she's already mine, and then the episode basically ends there. And, let me say, I don't feel sorry for Carlotta if she ends up dying here. We're going to find out in the next episode because it ends with her still being alive in the fire room with the doors open. So unless he closes the door and keeps the fire going in that room but stops it from the rest of the, like, I don't know. We're going to find out how that ends up happening. But, we'll end up finding out next episode. Now there is this 300-year-old history of Lasher and his dealings with the Mayfair women who all do seem to die more or less, with it seemingly being his influence over these so-called deaths. Now, depending on where this story then ends up going, is Lasher the enemy? Is he the bad guy? Is he not a bad guy? That really seems to be the main question. Is he good or is he not good? What is his intentions for the Mayfair women? Now it does seem that he's been, interacting with all these 12 Mayfair women previously to get to the 13th, Mayfair woman, which is Rowan. So what is his intentions with Warren specifically? Why was he going through all these these different Mayfair women just to get to the 13th? So what is his end game, more or less? So that's really the question. And I will say that Carletta goes too far in her actions towards other people's lives, and she does again keep bringing in the Lord into it, but it has nothing to do with her choices. These are the choices that she's making, and she keeps, you know, praising for everyone else's soul. She needs to be praying for her own soul, and she doesn't seem to really. She just justifies her stuff, but I don't know. I just don't like Carlotta. I don't. And Uncle Cortland, you can't even trust him. I mean, everybody seems to have an agenda in her family. Again, Cyprian, at least as of right now, seems to be the only one who doesn't necessarily have an agenda other than just trying to help her, and she knows that. But we do end up finding too in this episode. So last year didn't kill Deidra, and he was grieving, and he wanted revenge on the man who killed her, and he ends up killing that man. So then the question comes, well, who did kill Deidra? Was it Cortland? Maybe it was someone in the Telemasca again. When Cyprian was like, there is some supernatural work at play here. Somebody wiped the memory of the elevator. That isn't something humans do. That is something that people with magic or powers can do. And he's basically disregarded by his boss, or was that man, the head investigator, whoever that man was just like, thank you for all your work, but keep on, just keep protecting Rowan. So, does the Telemasca have some kind of agenda with what Lasher is doing? You know, are they part of maybe Lasher, or are they in cahoots with him? Like, that could be something going on. It could also be one of the other Mayfair women in the family as well. Rowan is not the only one who necessarily has powers or magic. She may be the strongest one, but the other women, I believe, also have powers and different things that they can do. So maybe it was one of the other Mayfair women who did it. But somebody had Deidre killed, and at the end, assuming we're going to hopefully find out who that is. And we also see, too, in this episode that Cyprian, he ends up reading the diaries of one of the previous Mayfair women and learns that as long as the Mayfair woman wears the necklace, they belong to Lasher. Now, again, Rowan did put on that necklace too quick. She will have to find a way to resist Lasher's pull on her if she can. It seems every time she's, especially in that house, that's kind of his realm where he can, maybe that's where he's the strongest too. But the fact that she's going to be trapped there for who knows how long, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next episode, because now he kind of has her where he wants her. He has her in the house. She's already wearing the necklace. So we'll see where this is going. She is gonna looks like she's gonna try to help Cyprian, but depending on how Lasher tries to appeal to her, we're gonna find out how this goes. And though Cyprian is not dead but wounded, he's in a weakened state and he's trapped in a house with Lasher as well. So we'll see how this all goes next episode. It'll be interesting to see. They keep doing this Donna Lift thing too. They went back 300 years and they said the first Mayfair witch name was Deborah. This other lady we keep going to 1681 in Scotland is Suzanne. So I'm still trying to figure out what is going on with that story. I mean, I feel like there's just more going on than it is a thriller mystery, because it's like, so like, is Suzanne like one of the very first Mayfair witches, or is she maybe she's one of the ones that's not documented or something? Who knows? Maybe she's the mother of Lasher. That's why we went so far back. Who knows? It's it's a lot of questions I still have answers for. Again, I have not read the book, so I'm kind of like out of the loop. But then I also kind of like not knowing. So each episode is just kind of giving you more information, more things are unfolding. One thing that I thought was interesting was Carlotta. Carlotta said that she did reject Lasher. So apparently you can reject him, but he wasn't necessarily looking for Carlotta anyway. He got Deidra, and now he's got into the 13th, which is Rowan. So I mean, I don't know if he was even really checking for Carlotta like that anyway. But either way, he can be rejected. So that is something new to know. Either way, let me know what you guys think, guys and ladies think. Hit the like button if you like this review. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Comment below if you have any comments, and share it. Other than that, see you next time. Bye.